Oh my gosh, I feel a bit like a kid who got caught without their homework and without having done anything they were supposed to. I'm so not ready for this, but here we go. It's a little bit past 8:30 and I'm about to start my first pomodoro of the day. 25 minutes of focused writing, 5 minutes off, and then repeat. And I'm gonna be tracking every single session on a calendar, which I obviously forgot to bring with me because my brain is all over the place right now. But I'm gonna be tracking these with little dots, and every 4 dots, I get a sticker, which sounds really simple, maybe a bit childish, but whatever, I like it. But I'm also navigating real life, which means interruptions, imperfect conditions, and just the general stressors of life right now. I decided it's the perfect week to try V. Schwab's writing routine because Schwab, who wrote Vicious and The Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue and the Shades of Magic series and so many more books, has a core philosophy at the heart of everything she does, which I talked all about when I was reviewing her podcast a couple of weeks ago. I'm gonna leave that linked up here. Anyway, her core philosophy is that there is no right way to write. The only right way is the one that works for you. So I'm gonna see if her way and parts of her routine are what are gonna work for me right now. So for the next 7 days, I'm testing her flexible, trackable, sustainable approach to writing, not under any perfect conditions, but in real life, when things are messy and when you have to adapt, to see if any part of her routine will add to the right way that works for me right now. Oh, and hi everyone. Welcome to the Uncharted Studio, or welcome back. I'm Celine and I'm a fantasy writer working on what I hope is gonna be my debut novel. If you're new here, every month I run what I call my exploration week, where I test out a different author's writing routine, or I take on some writing challenge, basically to see what parts of it could make my own routine better and maybe inspire you to experiment with yours a little bit too. In January, I tried writing like Ursula K. Le Guin, which meant waking up at 5:30, writing for 5 hours straight, and just completely getting exhausted. She had no word count goals. It was just all about the time commitment. And I loved that part of it. The result was I wrote over 25,000 words in 7 days, which is really high output for me, but it was exhausting. I found it impossible to sustain that. I'm not fit enough as a writer to do that. So in February, I tried Stephen King's approach, which is 2,000 words a day, no excuses, no exceptions, deep discipline, and I wrote 15,000 words that week, which was much more efficient. I loved knowing that the first thing I had to do every single day was write, but there was no flexibility, no space for life to happen, and the second that experiment stopped, I stopped writing for the rest of the month. So I think I need something a little bit in between. I love the freedom of Le Guin's time-based approach and the permission to dream and explore that she had. I also love the clarity that came from King's targets and the confidence I felt just walking into each session, knowing exactly what I needed to do. So I'm wondering if Schwab's approach with the pomodoro tracking and side quests and flexible locations and the no right way philosophy could just be a bit more right for me right now. And in case you haven't heard of her yet, Victoria Schwab is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of over 25, 26 books across multiple genres. She wrote The Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue, the Shades of Magic series, the Villain series, Vicious with its sequel Vengeful, and Victorious, which is the last one in the series, is coming out this year, and I can't wait. Anyway, she also has a thriller coming out next month called The Ending Writes Itself, co-written with her friend Kat Clark under the pen name Evelyn Clark. And her books have been translated into dozens of languages. She's won awards across so many different categories, and she has the incredible ability to make characters who feel human. They're flawed, they're complicated, and they just feel real. And she is my favorite author. But what I love most about Schwab isn't her stories, it's how honest she is about writing, about the writing life. In her podcast, No Right Way, she interviews other authors about their process, and she pulls back the curtain on what it's like to actually live a life with writing at its core. I did a deep dive on that podcast for my craft lab this month, so I've already linked that up there. But she also shares a lot about her writing life and her life in general across her social media and in her newsletter, The Visible Life of V. Schwab. And she's just one of the most transparent creators I've ever come across, and I love that. She's also always been really open about her family support her creative life and encouraged her to take risks, and that foundation shaped who she became as a writer. She recently lost her father, and it broke her world apart while breaking her heart. And this year that was supposed to be full of brightness started with unimaginable pain. And yet she's still here. She's still showing up. She's still being honest about the turmoil and the darkness and the bright moments in between and everything. So she reminds us that life happens, and we as creatives have to keep finding a healthy way to move through it. So I'm taking courage from her and hoping, I don't know, that I'll find a way to move through this time too. That is part of why I wanted to try her routine, because it's not about perfection. It's about sustainability. It's about adapting when things get hard. So enough preamble. What is her routine exactly? Okay, let's break this down. Mornings are her writing time. She wakes up early, often going on a long walk on the beach with her dog, and then she likes writing in the quiet hours of the morning. She uses timed sprints, and she aims for at least 2 hours of writing time each day, ideally 3 to 4. Crucially, she tracks time, not word count. The goal is X minutes of focused writing work, not X words on the page. So her belief is that creating happens all day, not just when you're actively typing, but when you're thinking, when you're dreaming, when you're walking, it all counts. So what matters most to her is time rather than output. And her writing environment is flexible. She often writes in cafes, or sometimes she works from home. On tour, she writes in hotel rooms or planes, wherever she needs to. Her tracking systems help keep her accountable. So she physically tracks pomodoros with dots on a calendar, at least she used to. And in her bullet journal, she would track both her writing sessions and her side quests, or at least that's what she calls them, you know, things that keep her balanced outside of writing, things like running or playing the violin. And this year she introduced this bingo card for fun goals that she wants to work towards, and I'm absolutely stealing this idea. Moving on, her afternoons are for the business of being an author, things like admin, emails, publicity. This keeps the creative work separate from everything else. Side quests restore balance for her. She reads extensively, reading like 100, 150 books a year. And she listens to podcasts, she learns the violin, she's studying Japanese. These are things that she enjoys being an amateur at, not a perfectionist, and they help ground her anxiety and help keep her life feeling full. She's also training for a marathon, which she's gonna run in honor of her late father. I'm gonna leave a link to her Just Giving page where you can donate if you want to, and she's collecting money for Diabetes UK. And she's been really open about how exercise is a core part of her mental stability and her ability to keep showing up to the page. So she believes that this input feeds the output. You know, you have to fill the well before creating. Books, podcasts, music, stories, they aren't just distractions from work. They're a crucial and important part of it. 1 day off a week is a non-negotiable. She introduced this recently and is very clear that 1 full day off every week without exception. No writing, no business, just rest. This is how she avoids her workaholic tendencies and the spiral that leads to burnout. And in terms of her actual writing process, she plots thoroughly, often starting from the ending and working her way backwards. Knowing where she's going is what allows her to keep going when things get hard. So she uses notes on the back of this door that she visualizes the story with, and she revises as she goes. She works on each chapter until it's ready, resulting in drafts that are really polished even before structural editing and the revising even begins. So that's her process, but here are my rules for the week. I'm gonna be waking up around 6 a.m., walking the dog, making something warm to drink, and driving to my mom's house between 6 and 7. Around 8:30, I'm gonna start writing. Mornings are gonna be kept for deep creative work. And then in terms of the writing, my structure is gonna involve pomodoro sprints with 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. My target is 4 to 6 sprints a day, so that's 2 to 3 hours-ish of writing. And every completed pomodoro is gonna get a dot on my wall calendar, which again, I forgot to bring with me, and 4 sprints will earn me a sticker for the day. And yeah, I am a fully grown adult who is motivated by stickers. I'm fine with that. Anyway, afternoons are gonna be for my growth hour, my version of her side quest time. They're gonna be for exercising, for content creation, and for all my other work. And I'll use that as my version of her author admin time. In terms of movement, Schwab does marathon training, and I am very much not a runner. The only time I'm ever going to attempt running is when I try Murakami's routine, which I keep putting off because I don't want to go running. So for me, movement will include things like paddle and gentle workouts, mostly in the evenings. And then evenings are my personal time. Dinner, puzzles, reading, music, filling the well, just all the little things that help me. And then 1 day off a week, non-negotiable, I'll stick with that. No writing, no business, no work, nothing. Other than these things, her routine is really flexible. She adapts to where she is, to what she needs, and what life throws at her. It's trackable, it's concrete, it's simple. The pomodoros, the calendar dots, the bingo card, everything is there so you can see the progress, which matters when motivation is low. It feels like it's really sustainable, at least for me. She's not chasing 10,000 word days. Instead, she's building a practice that can last decades. And that's what I want to test. I want to see if I can take her systems and her approach and find my own version of it, and what sort of output this approach will lead to. So let's find out. Oh my gosh, it's only day 2. And I think I chose the wrong time to start this experiment. I'm exhausted, but I started this experiment, and I'll see how much I can write today with a throbbing headache. Anyway, my target is 4 to 6 pomodoros each day, but yesterday just life got in the way. I got 2 done. I was planning on doing more, and that did not happen. I left myself a note yesterday about what I felt about my writing session because I didn't record an outro for the day, and I can't read it. I don't know if you can. Here it is. But basically it was like, yeah, my target was 4 to 6, but life got in the way, blah, blah, blah. And then what am I saying? But positive spin? I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. Anyway, today I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna see how much I can write, and hopefully I'll get closer to Schwab's 4 to 6 sessions a day target. Today's sessions got easier progressively. Like, the first session was tough. I think I got 50 words done in the first session. But then it just got easier and easier as I sank more into the story. So I'm hoping that tomorrow will be even better. Today, I only did 4 pomodoros so far. I have a lot of things to do, and I have to leave in a minute, but that's okay. And then tomorrow is gonna be my day off because, well, many reasons, including my birthday. So tomorrow's my day off. I'm not gonna write tomorrow. And I'm sad that tomorrow's my day off because the scene I'm in, the last thing that I had going on is my main character is hyperventilating in a panic attack. So it's really full on. And dropping it here or leaving it here is just, oof. Yeah, but it's okay. It's good. It's a good feeling. Today was my last day doing the V.E. Schwab experiment, and I feel both really encouraged and also really disappointed, disappointed with myself, because this week I was so scatterbrained. I was all over the place. I feel relieved that it's over, but also sad because I really wanted to adore this routine. And I couldn't, I couldn't get into the story. I couldn't get into it. Let me see, project writing history. There we go. So yeah, this week, there wasn't a single day where I wrote over 1,500 words. The most I wrote was today, and that was 1,404, and that's not much. So I feel like there wasn't a single day where I really could immerse myself into the story, into this world, into this routine. And I feel like such a failure for having come to this routine and done it such an injustice. In a way, part of me just really wants to love it. Part of me feels like this is the right routine for me rationally. And maybe it is. Maybe it is on a good day. Maybe it is on a day where I feel like I'm in my own space, where I'm able to sink into the story and all of that. But that was not this week. This week was full of interruptions. This week was full of things just pulling me apart. And I feel like I didn't do this routine justice. But 7 days are done. 7 days of Writing Like V.E. Schwab is finished. And I wanted to love this flexible, trackable, sustainable writing routine. And maybe this just isn't the right way for me to write right now. The conditions weren't perfect, and I wasn't able to cope with the flexibility. The flexibility gave me too much permission. So even though I loved the idea of it, it didn't make it better for me this week. Sure, this week wasn't just about copying someone's routine. It was about trying these different puzzle pieces and figuring out if they can help me with my routine. And yeah, if we look at the numbers, I wrote for 6 out of 7 days, perfect. I had the 1 day off, as she does, so that was according to plan. I only did 19 pomodoros in the whole week. I only had 3 days out of the 6 where I earned myself a sticker. And I just felt like even those days I was pushing it. It didn't feel all that happy. I wrote a total of 5,749 words, and sure, that's 5,749 words that I didn't have at the start of the week, and that's great. But it's also a lot less than what I got done writing like Ursula K. Le Guin or like Stephen King. So I didn't find my balance this week. I felt like there were just interruptions, the breaks, the pomodoros just weren't helping me, because every 25 minutes, instead of taking a 5-minute break, most days I would take an hour-long break, maybe even, depending on what was needed. And I feel like the Pomodoro system, which is how I normally write, is super powerful, especially for someone who's managing chronic illnesses. Whereas, like Le Guin's 5-hour blocks, my body just hit a wall and I couldn't cope. But with this, I felt like I could keep going, or at least I normally do. But instead right now, this week, I just kept going into a different direction. Even tracking time instead of word count right now for where I'm at with my headspace gave me too much permission to slack off. I felt like I got so much less done. I mean, like I said, I didn't even hit 2K any of the days, whereas when I was doing the Stephen King approach, I did hit the 2,000 words a day. This didn't feel more efficient. This didn't feel right for me. And I feel like that's just as important a lesson to learn, that maybe right now what I need isn't flexibility. It's a bit more consistency and a bit more of a rigid routine. I appreciated the difference in how it felt when interruptions did inevitably happen, because I didn't feel like I was breaking something. Like I didn't feel like I was breaking my flow. Every time that the 25 minutes were up, I was much more able to adapt. But at the same time, the breaks weren't 5 minutes long. Simple as that. So I really liked the 1 day off a week. I felt it was so helpful, and this week it was my birthday, so I took my birthday off and I felt very guilt-free for that, so that's great. Some days I felt like the tracking felt a bit performative, like I was chasing the time just to get the 4 squares on my post-it note and to get a sticker on my calendar, rather than being deeply immersed in the story. I just ended up sitting there, either writing nonsense or dreaming, which sure, there's a place for that too, but it didn't feel all that efficient. I mean, I would love to try this routine again. I would love to do this routine in a time when I can do it justice. I do like the time-based goal instead of word count, but I do feel like I need a minimum word count. Maybe what I need is a minimum word count, minimum time-based goal, and just see how that goes, or take an approach where I have a minimum word count goal on some days and a time-based goal on days where my chronic illnesses are really flaring up. My side quest got completely thrown out the window. I didn't do my growth hour not once. I didn't work out. I didn't do any fitness stuff. No, I did. I did once on Sunday. Yeah, I did on Sunday, but it just felt all over the place. I have a dog under the table here with me, and he's scared of thunderstorms, so he might be, hey, here we go. Do you want to climb up? Yeah. All right, here we go. Here is the boy that's scared of thunderstorms. Overall, these 3 months and the Sanderson experiment have just shown me a bit more about what my right way to write is and how much it changes even from month to month. Le Guin taught me about flow state and deep work, and King taught me about discipline and showing up no matter what. And then Schwab taught me about sustainability and adapting and finding what works for you and what doesn't work for you, even if you really expect that it will. And she's right, there is no right way to write. There's only the way that works for you in the moment and at the time. And I don't know, sometimes you don't know what's gonna work until you've tried it. And something that you expect to love and something that you really expect will work for you perfectly just doesn't. I need to wrap this up super quick because there's a thunderstorm going on and my dog is terrified. But basically, I'd love to hear from you. What's your process like? Do you track output? Do you track time? How do you do it? No matter what kind of creative you are, you probably track your progress somehow. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to V.E. Schwab for being so transparent and so generous with her process and her experiences, and reminding us all that writing is a practice, it's not a performance. So now I'm gonna go help the dog. I'll see you next week.